When Logan Reed opened that penthouse door, he had no idea the woman standing there, alone in a glass tower worth millions, would shatter everything he thought he knew about survival. She wasn't asking him to fix her plumbing. She was asking him to see her, and that one moment of eye contact would cost him everything he'd spent years protecting. This is a story about a single father who couldn't afford to fall, and a woman who had everything except a reason to stay. If you want to see how far love can pull two broken people from opposite worlds, stay until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. Logan Reed's truck smelled like grease, old coffee, and the faint chemical tang of cleaning products Lily had spilled in the back seat 2 weeks ago. He'd meant to clean it. He meant to do a lot of things. The duct tape holding the passenger mirror in place caught his eye every time he checked his blind spot, a reminder that some repairs never made it to the top of the list. His phone buzzed against the cup holder. Another service call. He didn't need to look at it to know what it would say. Late evening, probably urgent, definitely inconvenient. Logan wiped his hands on his jeans and answered. Reed maintenance. Yes. Hello? The voice on the other end was clipped, professional, vaguely annoyed. I'm calling on behalf of Ms. Aria Vaughn. She's experiencing an issue with her heating system. The temperature control isn't responding. Logan glanced at the dashboard clock. 6:45. Lily's sitter could stay until 8, maybe 8:30 if he pushed it. He didn't like pushing it. Address? The woman rattled off a location in the Meridian Towers, one of those glass high-rises downtown, where the lobby had better furniture than his entire apartment. Logan had been there once before. Different unit, different problem. The kind of place where residents didn't know their neighbors, and the doormen wore nicer shoes than he did. I can be there in 20 minutes. Ms. Vaughn will be waiting. The line went dead. Logan tossed the phone back into the cup holder and pulled out of the parking lot, merging into evening traffic that moved like sludge. The radio played something forgettable. He turned it off. Silence was easier. 23 minutes later, he was standing in a lobby that smelled like expensive candles and felt like a museum. The doorman, a guy in his 50s with a name tag that read Dennis, gave him a once-over that managed to be both polite and dismissive. Service call for Vaughn, penthouse level. Dennis nodded and gestured toward the elevators. 32nd floor. She's expecting you. The elevator had mirrors on 3 sides. Logan avoided looking at himself. He knew what he'd see. A guy in work boots and a jacket that had seen better days, carrying a toolbox that weighed more than it should. 32 years old and already tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. The doors opened onto a hallway so quiet it felt wrong. Thick carpet, recessed lighting, no sounds of life, no TVs, no conversations, no crying babies or slamming doors, just silence. Apartment 3207 was at the end of the hall. Logan knocked. For a long moment, nothing happened. He was about to knock again when the door opened. The woman standing there didn't look like someone who lived in a place like this. She was younger than he'd expected, late 20s maybe. Dark hair pulled back in a loose ponytail, barefoot, wearing an oversized sweater and leggings that looked like they'd been slept in. No makeup. Red-rimmed eyes that suggested she'd been crying recently, or not sleeping, or both. Ms. Vaughn? Aria. Her voice was softer than the one on the phone. You're the repair guy. Logan Reed. He gestured with the toolbox. You called about the heating system? She stepped aside, letting him in. The apartment was massive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, lights sprawling out like someone had spilled a jar of stars. The furniture was sleek and expensive, the kind of stuff that came from catalogs Logan would never see. Everything was perfectly arranged. Nothing looked lived in. It's the thermostat. Aria pointed toward the wall near the kitchen. I've tried adjusting it, but nothing happens. It's freezing in here. Logan set his toolbox down and moved to the unit. He could feel her watching him. People always watched. Some of them hovered, asking questions, making small talk. Others disappeared into another room and pretended he wasn't there. Aria stood a few feet away, arms crossed, silent. He pulled the cover off the thermostat and immediately saw the problem. Someone had installed it wrong. Wires crossed. No wonder it wasn't reading properly. A 15-minute fix, maybe 20. This shouldn't take long, Logan said, pulling out his multimeter. Looks like a wiring issue. Okay. She didn't move. Logan worked in silence, testing connections, rerouting wires. Aria stayed where she was, watching. Not in the anxious way some clients did, like they thought he might steal something, just watching, like she had nothing else to do. "Do you live here alone?" Logan asked, more to fill the silence than anything. "Yes." "Big place for one person." "It is." Logan glanced over his shoulder. She was looking out the window now, her reflection ghostly in the glass. "You don't like it here," he said. It wasn't a question. Aria's eyes shifted to him, surprised. "What makes you say that?" "Just a feeling." She didn't respond. Logan turned back to the thermostat, reconnecting the last wire and snapping the cover back into place. He adjusted the temperature and the system hummed to life. Warm air began to flow from the vents. "There, should be working now." "Thank you." Logan packed up his tools, stood, brushed dust off his hands. Aria was still by the window. "You want me to check anything else while I'm here?" he asked. "Sometimes these units have other issues." "No, just the heat." Logan nodded. He picked up his toolbox, moved toward the door. Aria followed, her footsteps barely audible on the polished floor. He stopped at the threshold, turned. "You'll get a bill in a couple of days. If anything else comes up, you can call the office." "Okay." Their eyes met, and for a second something passed between them. Recognition, maybe. Not of each other, but of something familiar. Loneliness, exhaustion, the weight of carrying more than you should. Logan looked away first. "Have a good night, Ms. Vaughn." "Aria," she said again. "You too." He left. The next 3 days were a blur of service calls, overdue bills, and a kindergarten teacher who wanted to schedule a parent-teacher conference Logan didn't have time for. Lily had been acting out. Nothing serious, just pushing boundaries, testing how much noise she could make before someone told her to stop. The teacher said it was age-appropriate behavior, which Logan figured was code for "not my problem." Thursday evening, his phone rang again. Same number. Same clipped voice. "Mr. Reed, Ms. Vaughn has requested your services again. A leak under the kitchen sink." Logan frowned. "I was just there. Everything was fine." "She specifically requested you." He should have said no. Should have told them to send someone else. But the rent was due in a week, and Lily needed new shoes, and he didn't have the luxury of turning down work. "I'll be there in 30. This time, Aria answered the door faster. She looked different. Hair down, wearing jeans and a fitted shirt, barefoot again. Still no makeup, but her eyes weren't as red. "Thanks for coming back," she said, stepping aside. Logan nodded and moved to the kitchen. He crouched down, opened the cabinet under the sink, and immediately saw that there was no leak. The pipes were dry. Everything was fine. He sat back on his heels, looked up at her. Aria was leaning against the counter, arms crossed, watching him with an expression he couldn't read. "There's no leak," Logan said. "I know." Silence. Logan stood slowly, brushed his hands on his jeans. "Why did you call me back?" Aria looked down, then back up at him. Her voice was quiet. "I don't know, I wanted to see you again." Logan didn't know what to say to that. "I'm sorry," Aria continued. "That probably sounds insane. I've been alone here for a long time, and when you came the other night, it was the first real conversation I'd had in weeks. And I know you're busy, and you probably think I'm crazy. I don't think you're crazy." She stopped, looked at him. Logan set his toolbox down. "But I can't keep coming here if there's no actual work. I've got a kid at home. I've got bills. I can't." "I'll pay you." The words came out fast. "For your time. Whatever you charge. I don't want to be alone tonight." Logan should have left. Should have walked out the door and never looked back. But something in her voice, the rawness of it, made him stay. "Okay," he said quietly. "But I've got an hour. Then I need to get home." Relief washed over her face. "Thank you." They ended up sitting in her living room, Aria on the couch, Logan in the chair across from her. She offered him water, which he accepted more out of politeness than thirst. For a while, neither of them spoke. "How old is your daughter?" Aria asked finally. 5? "What's her name?" "Lily." Aria smiled faintly. "That's a pretty name." "Her mom picked it." "Where's her mom?" Logan looked down at his hands. "Gone. She left when Lily was 6 months old. Haven't heard from her since." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. We're better off." Aria studied him. You really believe that? Yeah, I do. Logan met her gaze. What about you? Why are you here alone? Because I don't know how to be anywhere else. It was the most honest thing anyone had said to him in a long time. What do you do? Logan asked. For work? I don't work. Not anymore. Aria pulled her knees up to her chest. My family has money. A lot of it. I used to have a job, but it was one of those made-up positions where I showed up and smiled and didn't actually do anything. I quit 2 years ago. No one cared. So you just stay here? Pretty much. That sounds lonely. Aria laughed, but there was no humor in it. It is. Logan's phone buzzed. A text from the sitter. Lily's asking for you. He stood. I need to go. Aria stood too quickly. Okay, thanks for staying. You gonna be all right? She nodded, but Logan wasn't sure he believed her. At the door, he hesitated. Look, I don't know what you're looking for, but I can't be it. I've got a kid who depends on me. I can't afford to get distracted. I'm not asking you to be anything, Aria said softly. I just needed someone to see me, even if it was just for an hour. Logan didn't know what to say to that, so he said nothing. He left, and this time, the silence in the elevator felt heavier. A week passed. Logan didn't hear from Aria, and he told himself that was for the best. He picked up extra shifts, fixed a busted water heater in a building across town, replaced the wiring in an old house that should have been condemned years ago. Lily started wearing her new shoes everywhere, even to bed, and Logan didn't have the heart to tell her to take them off. Then, on a rainy Tuesday, his phone rang. Not the office line, his personal number. Hello? Logan? Aria's voice was shaky. I'm sorry to call. I didn't know who else. What's wrong? I think I'm having a panic attack. I can't breathe. I don't. Where are you? Home. Stay on the line. I'm coming. Logan grabbed his keys, texted the sitter, and drove faster than he should have. The rain made everything worse. Slick roads, low visibility, brake lights bleeding into the dark. He didn't care. Aria was sitting on the floor of her apartment when he arrived, back against the couch, knees drawn up, breathing in short, sharp gasps. Her face was pale, her hands shaking. Logan dropped his jacket and sat down beside her. Hey, look at me. She didn't. Aria, look at me. She turned her head, eyes wide and terrified. You're okay, Logan said, his voice steady. You're safe. Nothing's going to hurt you. I need you to breathe with me, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Can you do that? She nodded, barely. Good. In and out. In and out. It took 10 minutes, maybe 15. Logan stayed with her the whole time, breathing with her, his hand on her shoulder, grounding her. Slowly, her breathing evened out. The color came back to her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. Don't be. I shouldn't have called you. Yes, you should have. Aria looked at him, her eyes wet. Why are you being so nice to me? Logan didn't have a good answer. I don't know. They sat there in silence, rain hammering against the windows. After a while, Aria leaned her head against his shoulder. Logan didn't move. I don't want to be like this, she said quietly. I don't want to be so broken. You're not broken. You don't know that. Yeah, I do. Aria lifted her head, looked at him. How? Because broken people don't call for help. They just disappear. Something shifted in her expression. Understanding, maybe. Or hope. Logan's phone buzzed. The sitter again. He needed to go. I'll check on you tomorrow, he said, standing. You don't have to. I know. He left, and this time the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt like a promise. Mat. The next day, Logan showed up at Aria's door with takeout. She answered in sweatpants and a t-shirt, hair messy, looking like she'd just woken up. What's this? Dinner. You eat, right? A small smile. Sometimes. They ate on the couch, Chinese food out of containers, talking about nothing important. Aria asked about Lily, what she liked, what she was afraid of, what made her laugh. Logan found himself talking more than he meant to, telling stories he hadn't shared in years. She sounds amazing, Aria said. She is. Do you ever get scared that you're not doing enough? Logan set down his container. Every single day. But you keep going. I don't have a choice. That's not true. You could run. You could give up. A lot of people would. Logan looked at her. Is that what you want to do? Run? Aria's smile faded. I don't know. I've been running my whole life. I don't know how to stop. Then maybe it's time to learn. She didn't respond, but something in her eyes shifted. Fear, maybe. Or the beginning of something else. Over the next few weeks, Logan kept showing up. Not every day, but often enough. Sometimes with food, sometimes just to check in. Aria started looking forward to it, started keeping her phone close in case he called. She didn't know when it had happened, but somewhere along the way, Logan Reed had become the best part of her day. And Logan, despite every instinct telling him to pull back, found himself thinking about her more than he should. The way she laughed when she wasn't trying to be polite. The way she listened, really listened when he talked about Lily. The way she looked at him like he was more than just a guy who fixed things. One night, Aria asked if she could meet Lily. Logan hesitated. I don't know if that's a good idea. Why not? Because Lily's been through enough. I don't want her getting attached to someone who might not stick around. Aria flinched, but she didn't argue. Okay. I'm not trying to hurt you, Logan said. I'm trying to protect her. I know. But the words stung, and they both knew it. Mud. A month later, Logan brought Lily to the park. It was a Saturday, one of those rare days where the weather was perfect, and he didn't have any emergency calls. Lily was on the swings, pumping her legs and demanding to go higher, when Logan's phone rang. It was Aria. Hey, he answered, watching Lily soar. Hey, are you busy? Kind of. I'm at the park with Lily. A pause. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. It's fine. What's up? Nothing. I wanted to hear your voice. Logan smiled despite himself. You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Good. Another pause. Logan? Yeah? Thank you for everything. You don't need to thank me. I do. You have no idea what you've done for me. Logan watched Lily jump off the swing and run toward the slide. I think I have some idea. When he hung up, Lily was standing in front of him, hands on her hips. Who was that? A friend. What kind of friend? Logan crouched down to her level. Just a friend, kiddo. Lily squinted at him, suspicious. Do I know her? No? Why not? Logan sighed. Because it's complicated. You always say that when you don't want to explain. You're too smart for your own good. Lily grinned. I know. That night, after Lily was asleep, Logan sat on the couch and thought about Aria, about the way she looked at him, about the way she made him feel like maybe, just maybe, life could be more than survival. But survival was all he knew, and the idea of risking that, risking Lily's stability, her happiness, for something as uncertain as love, he didn't know if he was brave enough. Aria stood at her window, looking out at the city lights. Her phone was in her hand. Logan's contact pulled up on the screen. She wanted to call him, wanted to hear his voice again, feel that brief moment of connection that made the loneliness bearable. But she didn't, because somewhere in the back of her mind, she knew the truth. Logan Reed was never going to let her in. Not fully, not in the way she needed, and maybe that was okay. Maybe just knowing him, just having these stolen moments, was enough. But deep down, Aria knew it wasn't. She wanted more. And that terrified her. The call came on a Wednesday, just after midnight. Logan was already in bed, half asleep, when his phone lit up the darkness. He grabbed it without thinking, muscle memory from years of emergency calls. Hello? Silence. Then breathing, uneven, shaky. Aria? I'm sorry. Her voice was barely a whisper. I know it's late. I shouldn't have. What's wrong? Nothing. Everything. I don't know. A sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. I'm sitting here in the dark and I needed to know someone was out there. Logan sat up, rubbed his face. Through the thin wall, he could hear Lily's soft breathing from her room. You can't keep doing this. I know. I mean it, Aria. You call me at midnight, you show up in my head when I'm supposed to be working, and I don't. He stopped, the words catching in his throat. I don't know what you want from me. I want you to tell me it gets better. What gets better? All of it. The loneliness. The feeling like you're drowning in your own life. Does it ever get better? Logan looked at the ceiling, water-stained and cracked. Sometimes. That's not very convincing. It's the truth. Aria was quiet for a long moment. Can I ask you something? Yeah. Do you ever think about me? When you're not here, when you're with Lily, or at work, or just living your life. Do you think about me? Logan closed his eyes. Yeah, I do. Is that a problem? I don't know yet. Another silence, longer this time. Logan could hear her breathing evening out. Thank you, Aria said finally, for picking up. Get some sleep. You too. The line went dead. Logan set the phone down and stared at the dark ceiling for another hour before sleep finally came. The next morning, Lily wanted pancakes. She always wanted pancakes on Thursdays, some ritual she'd invented that Logan didn't have the energy to question. He mixed the batter while she sat at the kitchen table, coloring a picture of what she claimed was a dragon, but looked more like a purple blob with teeth. Daddy? Yeah, kiddo. Why don't you have a girlfriend? Logan nearly dropped the spatula. Where did that come from? Emma's daddy has a girlfriend. She comes to pick Emma up from school sometimes, and she's really pretty, and she brings cookies. That's nice for Emma. So why don't you have one? Logan flipped a pancake, buying time. Because I'm busy taking care of you. But you could have both. Emma's daddy does. Emma's daddy probably has more time than I do. Lily looked up from her coloring, her expression serious in that way only 5-year-olds could manage. Are you lonely? The question hit harder than it should have. Sometimes. But I have you, so I'm not that lonely. But I'm just a kid. You're not just anything. Lily considered this, then went back to her dragon. I think you should get a girlfriend. Then you wouldn't be sad all the time. I'm not sad all the time. Yes, you are. You just hide it really good. Logan set a plate of pancakes in front of her and sat down. When did you get so smart? I was born smart. You tell me that all the time. Yeah, well, maybe I created a monster. Lily grinned, syrup already dripping down her chin. The best monster. Later, after he dropped Lily at school and made it through 2 service calls, Logan found himself parked outside the Meridian Towers. He hadn't planned to come here, had told himself he was done making excuses to see Aria. But his truck had other ideas, apparently. He sat there for 10 minutes, engine off, hands on the steering wheel. This was stupid. He should leave, should go pick up the parts he needed for tomorrow's job, should grab lunch, should do literally anything else. Instead, he got out and went inside. Dennis was at the desk, reading a newspaper. He looked up when Logan approached, recognition flickering across his face. Ms. Vaughn expecting you? No. Dennis raised an eyebrow but didn't stop him. Logan took the elevator up, each floor making his chest tighter. What was he doing? What was he going to say? He knocked on her door. Aria answered in yoga pants and an old college sweatshirt, hair piled on top of her head, no makeup. She looked surprised, then something else, relieved maybe, or scared. Logan? Can I come in? She stepped aside. The apartment looked different in daylight, still too big, still too perfect, but somehow more lived in than before. There was a mug on the coffee table, a blanket draped over the couch, a book open face down on the cushions. I wasn't expecting you, Aria said, closing the door. I know. I wasn't expecting to be here. So why are you? Logan turned to face her. Because I can't stop thinking about what you said last night, about wanting it to get better. And I realized I've been lying to you. About what? About it getting better. It doesn't. Not on its own. You have to fight for it. You have to wake up every day and choose to keep going even when everything in you wants to quit. And I don't know if you're ready for that. Aria's face went pale. You came here to tell me I'm not strong enough? No. I came here to tell you that I can't be your reason to keep going. I can't be the thing that makes it better. You have to find that yourself. I'm trying. Are you? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're waiting for someone to save you. Aria's eyes filled with tears. That's not fair. Maybe not, but it's true. She turned away, arms wrapped around herself. You don't know what it's like. You're right, I don't. But I know what it's like to have someone depending on you. I know what it's like to be so tired you can barely see straight, but you get up anyway because you don't have a choice. And I need you to understand something. I can't let you become another person I have to save. I'm barely keeping my own head above water. I never asked you to save me. Yeah, you did. Every time you call at midnight, every time you look at me like I'm the only thing keeping you from falling apart. You're asking me to be something I can't be. Aria turned back to him, tears streaming down her face now. Then why do you keep coming back? The question hung between them. Logan didn't have a good answer. Or maybe he did, and he just didn't want to say it out loud. I don't know, he said finally. Yes, you do. Aria, say it. Whatever it is, just say it. Logan ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. Because when I'm with you, I feel like maybe I'm not just surviving. Maybe there's something more. And that scares the hell out of me because I can't afford to want more. Not when I've got Lily to think about. So what are you saying? I'm saying I need you to get your shit together. I need you to find a therapist, find a purpose, find something that makes you want to get out of bed in the morning that isn't me. Because I can't carry both of us. Aria wiped her face with the back of her hand. And if I do that, if I try, then maybe we can figure out what this is. What do you want it to be? Logan looked at her, really looked at her. Red eyes, messy hair, sweatshirt with a hole in the sleeve. She was a mess. But so was he. I don't know yet, he said, but I want the chance to find out. Something shifted in Aria's expression. Not hope, exactly. More like determination. Okay, she said quietly. Okay? I'll try. I'll really try. Logan nodded. That's all I'm asking. He left before either of them could say anything else that might complicate things further. In the truck, he sat for a moment, forehead against the steering wheel. What had he just done? Had he just given Aria permission to be part of his life? Or had he just set them both up for disaster? His phone buzzed, a text from Aria. Thank you for being honest. He stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Thank you for listening. 3 weeks passed. Logan didn't hear from Aria, and he told himself that was a good sign. Maybe she was actually doing the work. Maybe she'd found a therapist, started building a life that didn't revolve around waiting for him to show up. Or maybe she'd decided he wasn't worth the effort. Both possibilities bothered him more than they should. Then, on a Friday afternoon, his phone rang. Not Aria's number, someone else. Mr. Reed, this is Dr. Sarah Chen. I'm calling from Westside Elementary. Your daughter Lily had an incident today during recess. Logan's heart stopped. Is she hurt? No, she's fine physically, but she got into an altercation with another student. We need you to come pick her up. 15 minutes later, Logan was sitting in the principal's office with Lily next to him, arms crossed, face set in a scowl he'd never seen before. Across from them, the principal, a tired-looking woman named Mrs. Patterson, folded her hands on her desk. Lily pushed another student off the swing set, Mrs. Patterson said. The other child wasn't seriously hurt, but this kind of behavior. She said my daddy was too poor to buy me real shoes. Lily's voice was small but defiant. Logan looked down at her feet. The new shoes he'd bought, the ones she'd been so excited about. They were worn already, scuffed and dirty from weeks of constant wear. That doesn't make it okay to push someone, Mrs. Patterson said gently. I know. Lily's chin trembled, but she wouldn't stop saying it. Logan felt something crack inside his chest. Lily, go wait outside for a minute. But now, please. Lily slid off the chair and trudged out, closing the door harder than necessary. Mrs. Patterson sighed. She's a good kid, Mr. Reed, but she's been acting out more lately. Is everything okay at home? Everything's fine. Because if there are any changes, any stress factors, it might help us understand. I said everything's fine. Logan's voice came out sharper than he meant. He took a breath. I'm sorry. It's been a long week. I understand, but Lily is going to need to stay home for the rest of the day, and if this happens again, we'll need to discuss further consequences. Logan nodded and stood. Outside, Lily was sitting on a bench, swinging her legs, trying not to cry. Logan sat down next to her. You want to tell me what really happened? I already told you. The whole story. Lily's face crumpled. She said we were poor. She said you couldn't afford to take care of me, and that's why Mommy left. And I got mad, and I pushed her, and I know I shouldn't have, but I did, and now you're mad at me, and hey, I'm not mad. You're not? Logan pulled her into his lap, something he hadn't done in months. She was getting too big for it, but right now she felt impossibly small. No, I'm sad that someone said those things to you, and I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself, even if pushing wasn't the right way to do it. Are we poor, Daddy? The question gutted him. We're doing okay. But are we poor? Logan didn't know how to answer that. They weren't homeless. They had food, clothes, a roof over their heads. But there were months when he didn't know if they'd make rent. Months when he chose between fixing the truck or buying Lily new clothes. Months when he ate ramen so she could have real meals. We have everything we need, he said finally. Lily nodded against his chest, but Logan could tell she didn't fully believe him. That night, after Lily was in bed, Logan sat on the couch with a beer he'd been nursing for an hour. The label was half peeled, his thumb working at the edges mechanically. His phone sat next to him, dark and silent. He thought about calling Aria. Thought about telling her about Lily, about the kid who'd called them poor, about the look on his daughter's face when she'd asked if it was true. But what would be the point? Aria lived in a penthouse that probably cost more per month than he made in a year. She wouldn't understand. Except maybe she would. Before he could talk himself out of it, he grabbed his phone and dialed. Aria picked up on the second ring. Logan? Hey, bad time? No, never. A pause. What's wrong? You sound off. Lily got in trouble at school today. Is she okay? Yeah, she's fine. Just some kid said some things and she reacted badly. Logan took a swig of beer. She asked me if we're poor. What did you tell her? That we have everything we need. Do you? Logan laughed, but there was no humor in it. No, not even close. Aria was quiet for a moment. Do you want to talk about it? Not really. Okay. They sat in silence, the phone pressed to Logan's ear. He could hear Aria breathing on the other end, soft and steady. I found a therapist, she said finally. Yeah? Yeah, I've been going twice a week. It's harder than I thought it would be. That's good. I mean, not that it's hard, but I know what you mean, Aria paused. She's been making me talk about why I isolate myself, why I push people away. What did you tell her? That it's easier than letting them see who I really am. Logan set down his beer. And who are you really? I don't know yet, but I'm starting to figure it out. That's something. Logan? Yeah? Thank you for what you said last time, about needing to find my own reasons to keep going. I was angry at first, but you were right. I'm not always right. You were about this? They talked for another hour, about nothing important, about everything important. Aria told him about a cooking class she'd signed up for, how she'd burned her first attempt at cookies so badly the smoke alarm went off. Logan told her about Lily's obsession with dinosaurs, how she insisted on bringing a plastic T-Rex to bed every night. It felt normal. Easy. Like maybe they were figuring out how to be in each other's lives without it being a disaster. When they finally hung up, Logan felt lighter than he had in days. The next week, Aria texted him. Want to grab coffee sometime? Logan stared at the message for a full minute before responding. When? Whenever you're free. Saturday morning? I have to bring Lily. Perfect. Saturday morning found Logan and Lily at a coffee shop near the park, sitting at a small table by the window. Lily had hot chocolate with extra whipped cream, Logan had black coffee, and Aria was late. Is your friend coming? Lily asked, swinging her legs under the table. Yeah, she'll be here. What's her name? Aria. That's a pretty name. Yeah, it is. Lily took a sip of her hot chocolate, leaving a whipped cream mustache. Is she your girlfriend? No, she's a friend. But you like her. Logan looked at his daughter. Why do you think that? Because you keep looking at the door. Before Logan could respond, the door opened and Aria walked in. She looked different, hair down, wearing jeans and a sweater, carrying a bag over her shoulder. She spotted them and waved, nervous. Logan stood. Hey. Hi. Aria's eyes went to Lily. You must be Lily. Lily nodded, suddenly shy. I brought you something. Aria pulled a small package from her bag and handed it to Lily. I hope you like dinosaurs. Lily's eyes went wide. She tore open the wrapping to reveal a book, a glossy, illustrated guide to prehistoric creatures. Oh, wow. Your dad told me you're into them. I love them. Lily looked up at Aria, all shyness gone. Thank you. You're welcome. Aria ordered coffee and joined them at the table. For the first few minutes, conversation was awkward. Logan trying to facilitate, Lily absorbed in her new book, Aria clearly unsure what to say to a 5-year-old. But then Lily looked up and asked, Do you have a favorite dinosaur? I don't know much about them, Aria admitted. Which one should I like? The Ankylosaurus. It has armor and a big club tail for fighting. That sounds pretty cool. It is. They're the best. Well, except for velociraptors, but those are scary. What makes them scary? They hunt in packs, and they're really smart. Aria leaned forward, genuinely interested. Smarter than other dinosaurs? Way smarter. And just like that, they were off. Lily talked a mile a minute, showing Aria pictures in her new book, explaining the differences between herbivores and carnivores, why the T-Rex wasn't actually the biggest dinosaur ever. Aria listened, asked questions, laughed at all the right moments. Logan watched them, something warm and unfamiliar settling in his chest. After an hour, Lily announced she needed to use the bathroom. Logan took her, leaving Aria at the table. When they came back, Aria was looking at her phone, smiling at something. What? Logan asked, sitting down. Nothing, just, she's great. You did a good job. I didn't do anything. She's just herself. That's exactly what I mean. Lily climbed back into her chair, immediately returning to her book. Logan and Aria talked quietly while she read, about the weather, about Aria's cooking class disaster, about a leak Logan had fixed that morning that turned out to be a whole plumbing disaster. Normal things, easy things. When it was time to go, Lily hugged Aria goodbye without being prompted. Aria looked surprised, then delighted. Can we see her again? Lily asked on the drive home. Maybe. I like her. She's nice, and she didn't talk to me like I'm a baby. Yeah, I noticed that. So can we? Logan glanced at his daughter in the rearview mirror. We'll see. But he was already thinking about when. That night, Aria texted him. Today was really nice. Thank you for letting me meet her. Logan wrote back. She liked you. I liked her too. You're raising an amazing kid. Don't give me too much credit. She just turned out that way. I don't think that's how it works. Logan smiled at his phone. Probably not. Over the next month, they fell into a rhythm. Coffee on Saturday mornings, sometimes with Lily, sometimes without. Aria started showing up at the park when Logan took Lily in the evenings, pushing her on the swings while Logan watched from a bench. They texted throughout the day. Nothing heavy, just small moments, shared observations. Aria was different, lighter somehow. She'd started volunteering at an animal shelter, something her therapist had suggested. She talked about the dogs she walked, the cats who'd warmed up to her, the small victories of getting a scared rescue to eat from her hand. Logan could see the change. She smiled more, called less in the middle of the night, seemed more anchored to the world. And somewhere along the way, without either of them meaning to, something shifted. It happened on a random Tuesday. Logan had stopped by Aria's apartment to fix a stuck window, an actual repair this time. Lily was at a friend's house for a play date, and Logan had an hour to kill. Aria made tea while he worked. They talked about nothing important. When Logan finished and turned around, Aria was standing closer than he expected. All done? She asked. Yeah, should open fine now. Thank you. They stood there, neither moving. The air between them felt different, charged, aware. Logan? Aria said quietly. Yeah? I need to tell you something. His chest tightened. Okay. I know you said I needed to figure out my own reasons for getting better, and I have. I really have. But I also need you to know that you're part of that. Not the whole thing, not even the biggest part. But you made me want to try. And I don't know if that's okay to say, but I needed you to know. Logan's heart was pounding. Aria, I'm not asking for anything, she interrupted. I'm just telling you the truth. Logan looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman who'd been falling apart in this apartment months ago was gone. In her place was someone stronger, braver, more real. I think about you all the time, he said. I try not to, but I do. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. Aria stepped closer. Can I kiss you? Logan should have said no. Should have stepped back, made some excuse about needing to pick up Lily, about this being too complicated. But he didn't. Yeah, he said. She kissed him, soft and tentative. Logan's hands found her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss deepened, became something more, urgent, necessary, like coming up for air after being underwater too long. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Aria rested her forehead against his. This is crazy, Logan said. I know. I don't know how to do this. Neither do I. What if it doesn't work? Aria pulled back to look at him. What if it does? Logan didn't have an answer for that, so he kissed her again. Later, driving to pick up Lily, Logan's hands shook on the steering wheel. What had he just done? What was he doing? He didn't know. But for the first time in years, the uncertainty didn't feel like drowning. It felt like possibility. Lily noticed first. You're smiling more, she said one morning over cereal, her spoon halfway to her mouth. Logan looked up from his coffee. What? You smile more now, like for real. Not the fake one you do when I ask if we can get a puppy. I don't do a fake smile. Yes, you do. It's like this. Lily scrunched up her face in an exaggerated grimace that looked nothing like any expression Logan had ever made. I don't look like that. You kind of do. She went back to her cereal. Is it because of Aria? Logan's hand froze on his mug. What makes you think it's because of Aria? Because you only started smiling like that after we met her, and you check your phone way more, and yesterday you were humming. I was not humming. You were. In the shower. I heard you. Logan didn't know what to say to that. He'd been trying to keep things separate, Aria in one box, Lily in another, his work in a third, but apparently those boxes were leaking. I like her, Lily said matter-of-factly. She's not like other grown-ups. She actually listens when I talk. Yeah, she does. Are you going to marry her? Logan nearly choked on his coffee. What? No, we're friends. Friends who kiss? How do you... Logan stopped. We don't... Emma's mom says when grown-ups are friends who kiss, it means they're dating. Are you dating Aria? Logan set down his mug and looked at his daughter. When had she gotten so observant? It's complicated. You always say that. Because it's always true. Lily shrugged and finished her cereal. I hope you are. She makes you happy. Later, dropping Lily at school, Logan sat in the pickup line longer than he should have, watching her run across the playground toward her friends. She was growing up too fast, noticing too much. And she was right. He was happier. The constant weight on his chest had lightened. Not gone, but manageable. And that terrified him. Because happiness was fragile. Happiness could break. And when it did, it took everything with it. His phone buzzed. Aria. Therapy was rough today. Can I see you later? Logan typed back. Lily has a thing at school tonight. Tomorrow? Okay. Miss you. He stared at those two words. Miss you. So simple. So dangerous. Miss you too, he wrote back before he could overthink it. The thing at school turned out to be a disaster. Parent-teacher conferences had been rescheduled, which Logan had somehow missed in the 14 emails the school sent that he never read thoroughly. He showed up with Lily at 6:30 to find Mrs. Patterson waiting with a folder full of Lily's work and an expression that meant trouble. Mr. Reed, thank you for coming. Lily, honey, why don't you go play in the reading corner for a few minutes? Lily shot Logan a worried look before trudging off. Mrs. Patterson opened the folder. Lily's academically where she should be. Her reading comprehension is actually above grade level, but I'm concerned about her social-emotional development. Logan's stomach dropped. What do you mean? She's been withdrawing from group activities. During free play, she tends to isolate herself. And when I asked her to draw a picture of her family, she drew this. She slid a piece of construction paper across the desk. Lily's drawing showed two stick figures, one big, one small, standing in front of a house. Off to the side, separated by what looked like a wall, was a third figure. No features, just an outline. Who's that? Logan asked, pointing to the third figure. When I asked her, she said, someone who might leave. Mrs. Patterson's voice was gentle. Mr. Reed, has there been any change in your home situation recently? No, nothing. No new relationships? No changes in routine? Logan thought about Aria, the coffee dates, the text messages, the way Lily's face lit up when she showed up at the park. There's someone, but it's new, and we've been careful. Or Sipo. Children are perceptive. Even when we think we're hiding things, they pick up on the emotional undercurrents. Mrs. Patterson folded her hands. I'm not saying this person is bad for Lily, but I am saying that Lily has abandonment issues stemming from her mother leaving, and any instability, even positive change, can trigger anxiety. Logan looked at the drawing again. Someone who might leave. What do I do? Talk to her. Be honest in age-appropriate ways. Let her know what's happening in your life so she doesn't have to fill in the blanks with her worst fears. Mrs. Patterson paused. And maybe consider getting her into play therapy. It could help her process some of these feelings. Logan nodded, feeling like the world's worst father. How had he missed this? How had he been so focused on his own happiness that he hadn't seen his daughter struggling? In the truck on the way home, Lily was quiet. Logan glanced at her in the rear-view mirror. You want to talk about it? Talk about what? What Mrs. Patterson said. About you being worried. I'm not worried. Your teacher thinks you are. Lily looked out the window. I just don't want things to change. What things? Everything. I like it when it's just us. I don't want someone to come and then leave again. Logan pulled into a gas station parking lot and turned off the engine. He got out, opened Lily's door, and crouched down to her level. Who do you think is going to leave? Lily's eyes filled with tears. Aria. Why do you think that? Because that's what happens. Mommy left, and Emma's dad's girlfriend left, and Jacob's mom's boyfriend left. Everyone always leaves. Logan felt something crack inside his chest. Lily, I can't promise you that people won't leave. I can't promise you that things won't change, but I can promise you that I will never leave. No matter what happens, you and me, we're solid, okay? But what about Aria? What about her? Do you love her? Logan didn't know how to answer that. Did he love Aria? He cared about her, thought about her constantly, wanted her to be happy. But love? That felt too big, too risky. I don't know yet, he said honestly, but I like her a lot. Does she like you? I think so. What if she stops liking you? Then we'll deal with it. But I'll be sad. Yeah, me too. Lily wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Can I tell you something? Anything. I want you to have a girlfriend. I want you to be happy, but I'm scared. Logan pulled her into a hug. I'm scared too, kiddo. You are? Yeah, being scared doesn't mean we don't try. It just means we're being brave. Lily nodded against his shoulder. They sat like that for a long time, cars pulling in and out around them, the world moving while they stayed still. That night, after Lily was asleep, Logan called Aria. Hey, she answered. How was the school thing? Complicated. Logan told her about the drawing, about Lily's fears, about the conversation in the parking lot. Aria was quiet for a long moment. She's scared I'm going to leave. Are you? Am I what? Scared I'm going to leave. Logan leaned back against the couch. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not going anywhere, Logan. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. Aria, I know it's scary. I know we haven't been doing this long enough for me to make promises. But I need you to hear me. I'm not running. I'm not leaving. I'm here. What if it gets hard? Then it gets hard. I've been in therapy for 3 months now. I'm learning how to handle hard things instead of running from them. And this, you and Lily, this is worth fighting for. Logan closed his eyes. I don't know if I'm ready for this. Ready for what? For someone to actually stay. Aria's voice softened. Then I guess I'll just have to prove it to you. They talked for another hour. Aria told him about her therapy session, about how her therapist was helping her work through her patterns of self-sabotage. Logan told her about a job that had gone sideways, about how he'd nearly fallen through a rotten floor and scared himself half to death. Normal things. real things. When they hung up, Logan felt steadier. The next day, Aria showed up at Logan's apartment for the first time. She'd texted asking if she could come over, and Logan had said yes before really thinking about what that meant. Letting her into his actual life, not just the carefully curated version he showed the world. The apartment was small, cramped, nothing like her penthouse. The couch was secondhand, the TV ancient, the kitchen barely big enough for one person. Lily's toys were scattered across the living room despite Logan's attempt to clean up before Aria arrived. Aria walked in and looked around, taking it all in. Logan waited for her to say something polite, something that barely masked her discomfort. Instead, she smiled. It's perfect. It's a mess. It's lived in. It's real. Aria picked up one of Lily's drawings from the coffee table, a crayon masterpiece of what might have been a unicorn or possibly a deformed horse. This is amazing. She drew it last week. That's supposed to be you. Aria looked closer. The figure had what might have been wings, or maybe just really bad hair. I'm a unicorn? She said, you're magical. That might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said about me. Lily came barreling out of her room, excited to show Aria her new dinosaur pajamas. Aria admired them appropriately, asked all the right questions, sat on the floor to help Lily build an elaborate dinosaur habitat out of blocks and stuffed animals. Logan watched from the kitchen, making dinner. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti and jarred sauce. He watched Aria laugh at something Lily said, watched her carefully place a plastic triceratops in just the right spot, watched her fit into his life like she'd always been there. And it scared him how much he wanted it to be real. Dinner was chaotic. Lily talked nonstop about everything and nothing. Aria asked questions. Logan refereed when the conversation got too wild. Afterward, Aria helped with dishes while Lily watched TV, the two of them standing side by side at the sink. She's going to ask if you can stay, Logan said quietly. What should I say? Whatever you want. Aria bumped his shoulder with hers. I want to stay, but I'll leave if you think it's too fast. I don't know what's too fast anymore. Then let's just not worry about it. Let's just see what happens. Logan looked at her. Water dripped from her hands. Her hair was falling out of its ponytail. There was a small sauce stain on her shirt that Lily had accidentally flung during dinner. She looked nothing like the woman he'd met in that sterile penthouse months ago. She looked happy. Okay, he said. Let's see what happens. Aria did stay. She read Lily a bedtime story, doing different voices for all the characters that made Lily giggle. She tucked her in, turned on the nightlight, kissed her forehead like it was the most natural thing in the world. Lily looked up at her. Are you my dad's girlfriend? Aria glanced at Logan, who was standing in the doorway. Would that be okay with you? Aria asked. Lily thought about it. Will you leave if I say yes? No, I'll be here whether you say yes or no. Promise? Promise. Lily considered this. Then, yeah, it's okay. Good, because I really like being here. Me too, Lily yawned. Can you come back tomorrow? If your dad says it's okay. It's okay, Logan said from the doorway. After Lily fell asleep, Logan and Aria sat on the couch, a careful distance between them. The TV was on, but neither was watching. She's testing you, Logan said. I know. It's going to get worse before it gets better. She's going to push, see if you'll break. I won't. You don't know that. Aria turned to face him. Yes, I do. Logan, I know I've been a mess. I know you've seen me at my worst, but I need you to understand something. I've never had a reason to fight before. I've never had something worth staying for. And now I do. We've only been doing this for a few weeks. And I've been in therapy for 3 months, working on myself, figuring out how to be a person who doesn't run when things get hard. This isn't me being impulsive or desperate. This is me making a choice. Logan wanted to believe her, wanted to trust that this was real, that she wouldn't wake up one day and realize she'd made a mistake. What if you change your mind? He asked. What if you do? I won't. Then why assume I will? Logan didn't have an answer for that. Aria moved closer, took his hand. I'm not your ex-wife. I'm not going to wake up one day and decide this is too hard. I'm here, Logan. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you. And Lily? And Lily. Logan pulled her closer, kissed her like he was trying to convince himself this was real. Aria kissed him back, her hands in his hair, grounding him. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Aria rested her forehead against his. "I should probably go," she said. "You could stay." "On the couch?" "Yeah, on the couch." Aria smiled. "Okay." Logan found her an extra blanket and pillow. They said goodnight awkwardly, like teenagers unsure of the rules. But when Logan lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, knowing Aria was just a room away, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Safe. The next few weeks fell into a pattern. Aria came over most evenings after Logan picked up Lily from school. Sometimes she brought dinner. Sometimes they cooked together, Lily helping in ways that usually made more mess than actual assistance. Sometimes they just existed in the same space, Lily doing homework at the kitchen table, Aria reading on the couch, Logan fixing whatever needed fixing. It felt domestic, normal, like a life Logan had convinced himself he'd never have. But there were cracks. Aria's family started calling more. Her mother specifically, a woman named Victoria, who Aria described as difficult on a good day, impossible on a bad one. The calls always left Aria stressed, withdrawn. She didn't talk about them much, but Logan could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes afterward. "You don't have to answer," Logan said one night after Aria's phone rang for the 4th time. "Yes, I do." "Why?" "Because if I don't, she shows up. So let her." Aria looked at him like he'd suggested she set herself on fire. "You don't understand. My mother doesn't just show up. She invades. She takes over. She'll look at this apartment and look at you and she'll say things that sound polite but aren't, and I'll end up defending choices I shouldn't have to defend. So don't defend them. Tell her to leave." "It's not that simple." "Why not?" Aria stood, started pacing. "Because my family has money, real money, and with that comes expectations. I was supposed to marry someone appropriate, have an appropriate career, live an appropriate life, and I've failed at all of that. The only reason they leave me alone is because I stay in my lane. But if they find out about you, about Lily..." "What? They'll disown you?" "Maybe." Logan stood too. "And that matters?" "I don't know. It shouldn't, but it does." "Why?" "Because they're my family. Because I've spent my whole life trying to be what they wanted and failing, and I don't..." Aria's voice broke. "I don't know how to exist without their approval, even though I've never actually had it." Logan pulled her into a hug. She was shaking. "You don't need their approval," he said quietly. "Easy for you to say." "No, it's not. But it's true." Aria pulled back, wiped her eyes. "Can we not talk about this right now?" "Okay." But Logan filed it away, another crack in the foundation he was trying to build. Things came to a head 3 weeks later. Logan was at a job site when his phone rang. Lily's school. His heart stopped. "Mr. Reed, Lily's fine, but we need you to come pick her up." "What happened?" "There was an incident at lunch. Another student made a comment about you and Aria, and Lily got upset. She's not in trouble, but we think it's best if she goes home early today." Logan was there in 15 minutes. He found Lily sitting in the nurse's office, arms crossed, face set in that stubborn expression she got when she was hurt, but trying not to show it. "What happened?" he asked gently. "Nothing." "Lily. Some kid said you were dating a rich lady because you needed her money, and I told them that wasn't true. And they kept saying it, and I told them to shut up, and then Mrs. Patterson got involved, and now I'm in trouble." "You're not in trouble. It feels like I am." Logan signed her out, and they went to the park, because the apartment felt too small for this conversation. They sat on a bench, Lily swinging her legs, not looking at him. "Is it true?" she asked finally. "Is what true?" "That you're with Aria because of her money." "No, absolutely not." "Then why are you with her?" Logan thought about how to explain it in a way a 5-year-old would understand. "Because she makes me happy, because she's kind and funny, and she cares about you, because when I'm with her I feel like I'm more than just your dad or just a guy who fixes things. I feel like me." "But she is rich." "Yeah, she is. Does that bother you?" "Sometimes." Lily looked at him, surprised. "Why?" "Because I can't give her the things she's used to. I can't take her to fancy restaurants or buy her expensive presents or..." Logan stopped. I worry that one day she'll realize she's settling. What's settling? Being with someone who's less than what you deserve. Lily frowned. But you're the best. You're my dad. Logan pulled her into a hug. You're pretty biased. I'm also right. They sat like that for a while, watching other kids play. Eventually, Lily spoke again. Dad? Yeah? Are you going to marry Aria? I don't know, maybe. Would that be okay? Lily was quiet for a long time. I think so. But I'm still scared. Of what? That if you get married, you won't love me as much anymore. Logan's chest tightened. Lily, listen to me. There is nothing in this world that could make me love you less. Not Aria, not anyone. You are my kid. You come first, always. Do you understand? Promise? Promise. Lily nodded, seemed satisfied, but Logan could see the worry still there, hiding behind her eyes. That night, he told Aria what had happened. They were at her place. Lily was at a sleepover, one of the rare nights Logan had to himself. Aria listened, her face growing paler. I'm ruining her life, she said when he finished. You're not. Yes, I am. She's getting bullied because of me. She's terrified I'm going to replace her. This is exactly what I didn't want to happen. Aria, kids are cruel. They would have found something else to pick on her about if it wasn't you. But it is me, and I can't. Aria stood, started pacing. Maybe we're moving too fast. Maybe we should pull back, give Lily time to adjust. Pull back how? I don't know. Stop coming over so much. Stop being so present. Logan stood too. Is that what you want? No, but I don't want to hurt her. So your solution is to leave? I'm not leaving. I'm just creating distance. That's the same thing. Aria turned to face him, tears in her eyes. Then what do you want me to do, Logan? Tell me how to fix this. I want you to stay. I want you to prove to Lily that you're not going anywhere. I want you to stop running every time things get hard. I'm not running. I'm trying to protect her. By leaving? That's exactly what will hurt her most. So I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't? No, you're just scared, and I get it. I'm scared too. But if we pull back now, we're teaching Lily that her fears were right, that people leave when things get difficult. Aria sank onto the couch, head in her hands. I don't know how to do this. Logan sat beside her. Neither do I, but we figure it out together. What if I mess it up? Then we fix it. What if I can't? Then we fix it anyway. Aria looked at him, vulnerable in a way he'd never seen. I've never had anyone fight for me before. Well, you do now. She kissed him then, desperate and grateful and scared all at once. Logan kissed her back, trying to pour every reassurance he couldn't say into the contact. When they finally broke apart, Aria whispered, I love you. Logan froze. The words hung between them, impossible to take back. You don't have to say it back, Aria said quickly. I just needed you to know. Logan looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman who'd been a mess when they met. The woman who'd done the work, showed up, stayed. I love you too, he said, and he meant it. They sat in silence for a long time after that, holding each other in the darkness, both terrified of what came next. The morning after they said they loved each other, Logan woke up in Aria's bed feeling like he'd crossed a line he couldn't uncross. Aria was still asleep beside him, her hand resting on his chest, her breathing soft and even. Sunlight filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, turning everything golden. It should have felt perfect. Instead, Logan felt like he was standing at the edge of a cliff. He slipped out of bed carefully, found his clothes scattered across the floor, got dressed as quietly as he could. His phone showed 3 missed texts from the sitter confirming Lily's pickup time. He had 2 hours before he needed to be there. Aria stirred, opened her eyes. You're leaving? I need to get Lily. It's only 7:30. I know, but I should get home, shower, change. Logan sat on the edge of the bed. Last night was a mistake? Aria's voice was small. No, not a mistake, just fast. Aria sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. You regret saying it. I don't regret it. I meant it. But now that it's out there, everything feels different. Different how? Logan ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. I don't know. Bigger, more real. Like we can't just be casual anymore. We were never casual, Logan. I know, but saying it makes it permanent. And that scares you. Doesn't it scare you? Aria looked down at her hands. Terrifies me. But I'm tired of running from things that scare me. Logan wanted to say something reassuring, something that would make this easier, but the words wouldn't come. He kissed her forehead, told her he'd call later, and left before the conversation could go anywhere deeper. The drive home felt longer than it should have. Logan's mind kept replaying the night before, the way Aria had looked at him when she said those 3 words, the way his own voice had sounded saying them back. He meant it. He did. But meaning it came with weight, with expectation, with the terrifying possibility of loss. By the time he picked up Lily from her sleepover, he'd almost convinced himself everything was fine. Lily was in a good mood, chattering about the movie they'd watched and the pancakes they'd had for breakfast. She didn't ask where he'd been, didn't seem to notice anything different. But that afternoon, while Lily was occupied with her dinosaurs, Logan's phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Logan Reed? A woman's voice, crisp and formal. Yeah, who's this? My name is Aria Vaughn. I'm Aria's mother. Logan's stomach dropped. How did you get this number? That's not important. What is important is that we need to have a conversation about your relationship with my daughter. I don't think that's any of your business. Everything involving my daughter is my business, Mr. Reed, especially when she's making decisions that could affect her future. Logan walked into his bedroom, closed the door. What do you want? I want to meet you, face to face. I think we should discuss the situation like reasonable adults. There's nothing to discuss. I disagree. Aria has always been impressionable. She makes poor choices when she's emotional, and from what I understand, she's become quite attached to you and your daughter. From what you understand? Has Aria been talking to you? Aria tells me very little, but I have other sources. Logan felt anger rising in his chest. You're having her followed? I'm ensuring she's safe. There's a difference. No, there really isn't. Victoria's voice hardened. Mr. Reed, I don't think you understand the position you're in. My daughter comes from a very specific world with very specific expectations. You and your situation are complicated. I'm offering you the chance to discuss this privately before things become more difficult. Is that a threat? It's a reality check. Meet me for coffee tomorrow. 2 o'clock at the Grandview Hotel downtown. If you care about Aria at all, you'll be there. The line went dead. Logan stared at his phone, heart pounding. He should tell Aria. Should call her right now and warn her that her mother was interfering, but something stopped him. Maybe curiosity. Maybe the need to understand what he was actually dealing with. Maybe just stubbornness. He texted Aria, "Can you watch Lily tomorrow afternoon?" Something came up. Her response came quickly. Of course. Everything okay? Yeah, just work stuff. I'll explain later. He hated lying to her, but he told himself it wasn't really a lie, just an omission, a temporary one. The next day, Logan dropped Lily at Aria's penthouse. Aria answered the door in jeans and a sweater, hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked softer than usual, more relaxed. You sure you're okay? She asked, studying his face. You seem tense. Just a difficult client, nothing major. Well, Lily and I will be fine. We're going to make cookies and probably make a huge mess. Sounds about right. Logan kissed her quickly, then crouched down to Lily's level. Be good for Aria, okay? I'm always good. That's debatable. Lily grinned and ran inside, already calling for Aria to show her where the cookie cutters were. Logan left before he could change his mind. The Grandview Hotel was exactly the kind of place Logan had expected. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, staff in uniforms nicer than anything Logan owned. He felt out of place immediately, aware of his worn jacket and work boots in a sea of business suits and designer dresses. Aria Vaughn was waiting in the lobby lounge, seated in a leather chair with a coffee cup in front of her. She was older than Logan had pictured, mid-60s maybe, but elegant in that way wealthy people seem to achieve effortlessly. Perfect posture, perfect hair, perfect makeup. She looked up when he approached, her expression giving nothing away. Mr. Reed, thank you for coming. Let's skip the pleasantries. What do you want? Victoria gestured to the chair across from her. Sit, please. Logan sat, more because standing felt awkward than because he wanted to cooperate. Victoria studied him for a long moment. You're younger than I expected. And you're exactly what I expected. A small smile. Aria always did have a type. Men who need fixing. I don't need fixing. No? A single father working multiple jobs to make ends meet? Living in an apartment I'm told barely passes inspection? That doesn't suggest someone who needs help. Logan's jaw tightened. We're doing fine. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're drowning, and now you've dragged my daughter into your situation. Aria chose to be part of my life. I didn't drag her anywhere. Aria doesn't know what she wants. She never has. She jumps from one crisis to another, always convinced this time will be different. Victoria set down her coffee cup. How much do you know about her history? Enough. Do you know about Marcus? The artist she dated 3 years ago who convinced her to fund his gallery, then disappeared with $50,000? Or Thomas, the charity director who used her connections to embezzle from his own organization? Or, I'm not them. No, you're worse. Because you're not intentionally using her. You're just too blind to see that you are. You need her resources, her stability, her ability to provide for your daughter. And Aria, being Aria, sees this as love instead of what it really is. Logan stood. I'm done listening to this. Sit down, Mr. Reed. I'm not finished. Yes, you are. I don't care what you think of me. I don't care about your money or your connections or your opinion. Aria is an adult. She makes her own choices. And if she chooses me, that's between us. Victoria's expression hardened. I could make your life very difficult. How? You going to have me fired from jobs I don't technically work for? Report me to landlords who don't care as long as I pay rent? I have nothing you can take. What about custody of your daughter? Logan froze. What? I have friends in family court. It wouldn't be difficult to raise questions about your living situation, your ability to provide adequate care. A single father working long hours, leaving his child with various sitters, exposing her to unstable relationships? You wouldn't. Try me. Walk away from Aria now, and I'll leave you alone. Continue this relationship, and I will make sure every authority that matters takes a very close look at your parenting. Logan felt like he'd been punched. You're threatening to take my daughter because I'm dating your daughter? I'm protecting Aria from another mistake. If that means ensuring you understand the stakes, then yes. Logan leaned forward, voice low and dangerous. You can threaten me all you want. You can try to intimidate me or buy me off or whatever other power play you think will work. But I love your daughter, and she loves me, and nothing you do will change that. Love. Victoria laughed, but there was no warmth in it. Mr. Reed, love isn't enough. It never has been. Aria will realize that eventually. The question is how much damage gets done before she does. Logan walked out without another word. His hands were shaking. His heart was pounding. He made it to his truck before the full weight of what had just happened hit him. Aria Vaughn had just threatened to take Lily. And the worst part was, she probably could. Logan sat in the truck for 20 minutes, trying to calm down, trying to think. He should tell Aria. Should warn her what her mother was doing. But if he did, Aria would confront Victoria. And Victoria would make good on her threat. Logan couldn't risk it. Couldn't risk losing Lily. But he also couldn't walk away from Aria. Not now. Not after everything. He was trapped. Finally, Logan drove back to Aria's penthouse. When he walked in, the smell of cookies hit him immediately. Lily and Aria were in the kitchen, both covered in flour, laughing about something. The kitchen looked like a bomb had gone off, bowls everywhere, flour on every surface, cookie sheets cooling on the counter. Aria looked up when he entered, her smile fading when she saw his face. What happened? Nothing, just a long day. Logan? I'm fine, he forced a smile. Did you guys save any cookies for me? Lily ran over, holding up a misshapen blob that might have been intended as a star. We made dinosaur cookies. Well, Aria tried. Mine look better. They definitely do, Aria agreed, shooting Logan a concerned look he pretended not to see. They ate cookies on the couch, Lily chattering about her day, Aria playing along while watching Logan out of the corner of her eye. Logan went through the motions, said the right things, but his mind was elsewhere. After Lily fell asleep on the couch, too much sugar and excitement, Aria cornered him in the kitchen. What's going on? Nothing. Don't lie to me. Something happened. Was it really just work? Logan looked at her, this woman he'd somehow fallen in love with despite every instinct telling him not to. He thought about telling her the truth, about her mother's threats, about the impossible position he was in. But the words wouldn't come. It was just a difficult client, he said finally. Really? Aria didn't look convinced, but she didn't push. Okay, but if something's wrong, you can tell me. You know that, right? I know. She kissed him softly. I'm here, whatever it is. Logan kissed her back, trying to memorize the moment, the taste of her, the feel of her hands in his hair, the way she fit against him like she'd always belonged there. Because he had a sinking feeling that moments like this were numbered. Over the next week, Logan tried to act normal. He went to work, picked up Lily from school, spent time with Aria. But he couldn't shake the feeling that he was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Every unknown number that called made his heart stop. Every time his phone rang while Lily was at school, he expected it to be the principal calling about a social worker visit. Aria noticed. Of course she did. You're pulling away, she said one night after Lily was asleep. They were at Logan's apartment, sitting on the couch with the TV on mute. I'm not. Yes, you are. You're here, but you're not really here. What's going on? Logan stared at the TV, not really seeing it. I'm just tired. That's not it. Aria, please, not tonight. Then when? Because you've been shutting me out for a week and I don't understand why. I'm not shutting you out. Really? Because you barely talk to me anymore. You don't stay over. You find excuses to leave early. If this is about what we said, if you're regretting, I don't regret it. Logan turned to face her. I love you. That hasn't changed. Then what has? Logan wanted to tell her, wanted to lay it all out. Her mother's threats, his fears, the impossible choice he was facing. But the words stuck in his throat. I'm just scared, he said finally. Of what? Of losing this. Of losing you. Of screwing it up. Aria took his hand. You're not going to lose me. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. Logan, I'm not going anywhere. How many times do I have to say it before you believe me? I do believe you. Logan stopped, frustrated. What if something happens that's out of your control? What if circumstances change and you have to choose between me and something else? Like what? Like your family. Aria's expression shifted. What about my family? They don't approve of me, of us, and eventually that's going to matter. My family doesn't get a vote in my life. Are you sure about that? Yes. But Aria's voice wavered slightly. Why are you bringing this up now? Logan almost told her, almost admitted that he'd met with Victoria, that threats had been made. But fear stopped him, fear of what Aria would do, fear of making things worse. Because I know how these things go, he said instead. You and me were from different worlds, and eventually that gap is going to be too big to cross. Aria pulled her hand back. So what are you saying? That we should just give up now? Save ourselves the trouble? No, I'm saying we need to be realistic. Realistic about what? About the fact that I have money and you don't? I don't care about that, Logan. Maybe you should. Why? Because my mother would? Because society thinks we don't match? Aria stood, pacing. I thought we were past this. I thought you understood that I'm choosing this life. I'm choosing you. For now. The words came out harsher than Logan meant them. Aria stopped pacing, turned to face him. What does that mean? It means you've never had to sacrifice anything for me. You've never had to choose between me and something you actually want. That's not fair, isn't it? You still live in that penthouse, you still have your trust fund, you still have the safety net of your family's money. What have you actually given up? Aria's face went pale. I've given up my old life, my old patterns. I've done the work, Logan. I've been in therapy, I've been showing up, I've been trying. I know, and I appreciate it. But when push comes to shove, when your family demands you choose, what are you going to do? I'll choose you. You say that now. I mean it. Logan stood, tired of this conversation, tired of the fear eating him alive. I hope you do. Because if you don't, it's going to destroy Lily. She's already scared you're going to leave. And if you prove her right, I won't. You can't know that. Aria's eyes filled with tears. Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to sabotage us? I'm not trying to sabotage anything. I'm trying to protect my daughter. From me? Logan didn't answer, but his silence was answer enough. Aria grabbed her bag, headed for the door. Logan followed. Where are you going? Home. I need to think. Aria, no. You just basically told me you don't trust me to stick around. You think I'm going to hurt Lily, so maybe I should leave before I do. That's not what I meant. Yes, it is. Aria turned, tears streaming down her face now. You've been waiting for me to leave since the beginning, and now you're trying to make it happen so you can say you were right all along. That's not true. Isn't it? Because it feels true. It feels like you're looking for an excuse to push me away before I can leave on my own. Logan wanted to deny it, but he couldn't. Because maybe she was right. Maybe part of him was trying to force her hand, test her limits, see when she'd break. I don't want to lose you, he said quietly. Then stop trying to make it happen. Aria left, the door closing harder than it needed to. Logan stood in the silence, feeling like he'd just made the biggest mistake of his life. He checked on Lily, still asleep, oblivious to the drama unfolding around her. Logan sat on the edge of her bed, watching her breathe, feeling the weight of every choice pressing down on him. His phone buzzed, a text from Aria. I need some time. Please don't call. Logan stared at the message, typed and deleted a response 3 times before finally sending, okay. The next few days were hell. Logan threw himself into work, taking every job he could find. He avoided Aria's building, didn't answer when she called once, then stopped calling. Lily asked about her constantly. When is Aria coming over? I don't know, kiddo. Did you have a fight? Something like that. Are you going to fix it? I'm trying. But he wasn't. He was avoiding it, letting the silence stretch, convincing himself it was better this way. A week after their fight, Logan got a call from an unknown number. His heart stopped, thinking it might be Victoria making good on her threats. Instead, it was Dennis from the Meridian Towers. Mr. Reed, you should come by. It's about Miss Vaughn. What about her? Just come by. Please. Logan arranged for the sitter and drove across town faster than he should have. Dennis met him in the lobby, his usual professional demeanor cracked. She's been locked in her apartment for 4 days. Won't answer calls, won't answer the door. Building management is concerned. Have you tried going in? We can't without her permission or a safety concern. But I thought you might be able to reach her. Logan took the elevator up, his heart pounding. He knocked on Aria's door. Nothing. He knocked again harder. Aria, it's me. Open up. Silence. I know you're in there. Please, just let me know you're okay. More silence. Then, finally, a voice. Small, hoarse. Go away. I'm not going anywhere. Open the door. No. Logan leaned his forehead against the door. Aria, I'm sorry. So sorry. I was scared and I said things I didn't mean, and I've been a coward. But I need to see you. I need to know you're okay. Nothing. Please, let me in. A long pause, then the sound of locks turning. The door opened a crack. Aria looked terrible, hair unwashed, wearing the same clothes from a week ago, eyes red and puffy. The apartment behind her was dark, curtains drawn. You look like hell, Logan said. Thanks. Can I come in? Aria hesitated, then stepped aside. Logan walked into darkness. The apartment smelled stale, like someone who'd been hiding from the world. When's the last time you ate? Logan asked. I don't know. Yesterday? The day before? Logan went to the kitchen, started opening cabinets. He found bread, peanut butter, made her a sandwich. When he brought it to her, Aria was sitting on the couch, knees pulled to her chest. Eat, Logan said. I'm not hungry. I don't care. Eat. Aria took the sandwich, nibbled at the edges. Logan sat beside her, not touching, just present. I talked to my mother, Aria said finally. Logan's blood ran cold. When? 3 days ago, she called. Told me she'd met with you. Told me what she said. Aria-sai, why didn't you tell me? Logan looked down at his hands. Because I was scared. Because I didn't want you to have to choose. So you chose for me? You decided to push me away to protect me from my own mother? I was trying to protect Lily. By sabotaging us? Aria set down the sandwich. Logan, I confronted her. I told her to stay out of my life, to leave you alone, to back off, or I'd cut her out completely. What did she say? She said I was making a mistake, that I'd regret it, that I was choosing a life of struggle over the comfort and security she could provide. Aria's voice cracked. And I told her I'd rather struggle with you than be comfortable and miserable without you. Logan felt something break in his chest. You did? Yes, because I meant what I said. I'm choosing you, Logan. I'm choosing this life. Even if it's hard. Even if my family hates it. Even if we have to figure everything out as we go. What about the threats? About custody? Empty threats. My therapist helped me see that. My mother uses fear to control people, but she has no actual power over your custody. She was banking on you being too scared to call her bluff. Logan pulled Aria into his arms, holding her tight. I'm so sorry. I should have trusted you. Should have told you what happened. Yes, you should have. Aria pulled back to look at him. But I understand why you didn't. You were trying to protect Lily. I can't fault you for that. I almost destroyed us. Almost, but you didn't. Aria managed a weak smile. We're still here. Barely. Barely counts. Logan kissed her forehead. I love you. I'm sorry I've been terrible at showing it. I love you too, and you have to stop expecting me to leave. I'm here, Logan. I'm really here. I know. I'll try to believe it. Good. Because I'm not going anywhere. They sat like that for a long time, holding each other in the darkness. Eventually, Logan convinced Aria to shower while he opened the curtains, let in some light. He ordered food, made her eat, sat with her while she slowly came back to herself. It wasn't fixed. None of it was fixed. But it was a start, and for the first time in weeks, Logan let himself believe it might actually work. 3 months later, Aria moved out of the penthouse. Not into Logan's cramped apartment. They both knew that wouldn't work, the space barely big enough for him and Lily as it was. Instead, she found a 2-bedroom place across town, modest by her standards, but still nicer than anywhere Logan had ever lived. It had a small backyard, a kitchen that didn't feel like a closet, and enough room for Lily to have sleepovers without everyone tripping over each other. You're sure about this? Logan asked, helping her carry boxes up the stairs. The moving company had handled the furniture, but Aria insisted on packing her personal things herself. I've never been more sure of anything. Your mother is going to lose it. She already did, 3 times this week. Aria set down a box marked kitchen stuff and wiped sweat from her forehead. But that's her problem, not mine. Logan wanted to argue, wanted to make sure she understood what she was giving up, but he'd learned over the past few months that Aria didn't need protecting from her own choices. She needed support in making them. Okay, he said simply. Okay? Aria raised an eyebrow. No lecture about making sure I'm ready? No concern about me regretting this? Nope, you're a grown woman. You get to decide what you want. Aria kissed him, quick and grateful. I want this. I want us to have a space where we can actually be together without constantly shuffling between apartments. I want Lily to have her own room here for when she stays over. I want to build something real. Then let's build it. They spent the rest of the day unpacking, assembling furniture that came with incomprehensible instructions, arguing about where things should go. It felt normal in a way Logan had stopped believing was possible for him, domestic, settled, like they were building a life instead of just surviving one. Lily arrived that evening with an overnight bag and immediately claimed the smaller bedroom as her own. She spent an hour arranging her stuffed animals on the bed, demanding that Logan hang her drawings on the walls, declaring that this was now her second home. Can I paint it purple? She asked Aria. We can talk about it. That means no. That means we'll see. Lily grinned, satisfied enough with that answer, and went back to her decorating. Later, after Lily was asleep in her new room, Logan and Aria sat on the back porch, really just a small concrete slab with 2 chairs, drinking beer and watching moths circle the porch light. I talked to a financial advisor last week, Aria said. Logan glanced at her. Yeah? I wanted to understand my trust fund, how it works, what I can access without my family's involvement. She took a sip of beer. Turns out I have more control than I thought. My grandfather set it up that way deliberately. He didn't trust my mother to make decisions for me. Smart man. He was. Died when I was 12, but I remember him telling me to always make my own choices, even if they made other people uncomfortable. Aria smiled softly. I think he'd like you. I doubt that. I'm exactly the kind of guy rich grandfathers warn their granddaughters about. You're exactly the kind of guy who would have made him laugh. He hated pretension, hated people who cared more about appearances than substance. She turned to face Logan. Anyway, I've been thinking about what to do with the money. Logan tensed. Aria, let me finish. I'm not trying to throw money at you or fix your problems or any of that. But I've been volunteering at the animal shelter, and I love it. And I started thinking about how I could actually do something meaningful with the resources I have. What are you thinking? I want to start a nonprofit, a shelter specifically for animals from low-income families who can't afford vet care or who have to give up their pets because of housing situations. Free veterinary services, temporary fostering, helping people keep their animals instead of surrendering them. Aria's voice grew more animated. I've been researching it, talking to people who run similar programs. I think I could actually do this. Logan felt something warm spread through his chest. That's amazing. You think so? Yeah, I really do. It's perfect for you. It won't happen overnight. There's paperwork, licensing, finding a location, but I want to do it. I want to build something that matters. She paused. And I was hoping you might help with the construction side. Not for free. I'd pay you properly. But I trust you to do it right. You're going to pay me to help build your dream? I'm going to pay you to do quality work on an important project. There's a difference. Logan considered it. His pride bristled at the idea of taking money from Aria, even for legitimate work. But he also recognized that she was offering him partnership, not charity. Okay, he said, but I invoice you like any other client. No special treatment. Deal. They shook on it, formal and ridiculous, then laughed at themselves. We're really doing this, Aria said. Building a life together. Looks like it. Are you still scared? Logan thought about it. Terrified, but less than I was. Me too. They sat in comfortable silence, the kind that only came from actually knowing someone, from having weathered enough storms together to trust the calm. The next few months were chaotic in the best way. Aria's nonprofit started taking shape, permits filed, a location scouted, plans drawn up. Logan took on the construction project while juggling his regular work, which meant 14-hour days and exhaustion that went bone deep. But it felt different than the exhaustion of just surviving. This exhaustion came with purpose. Lily split her time between Logan's apartment and Aria's house, adapting to the arrangement better than Logan had expected. She had her routines in both places, her stuff scattered across 2 homes, her life expanding to include this woman who'd become more than just Dad's girlfriend. One Saturday morning, Lily came into the kitchen where Logan was making breakfast and Aria was reading the newspaper, an actual physical newspaper she'd started buying because she liked the ritual of it. Can I ask you guys something? Lily said, climbing onto a chair. Sure, kiddo, Logan said, flipping pancakes. Emma's mom and her boyfriend are getting married. There's going to be a big party, and Emma gets to be a flower girl. Lily paused. Are you guys going to get married? Logan nearly dropped the spatula. Aria set down the newspaper. That's a big question, Aria said carefully. I know, but I want to know. Logan looked at Aria. They'd been together almost a year now, living in this weird in-between state of committed but not officially anything. They hadn't talked about marriage, hadn't even really talked about the future beyond the next few months. We haven't really discussed it, Logan said. Why not? Because marriage is complicated. No, it's not. You love each other, right? Yes. And you want to stay together? Yes. Then what's complicated? Out of the mouths of children, Logan thought. She's got a point, Aria said, a smile playing at her lips. Don't encourage her. I'm just saying, maybe we should discuss it. Now? Why not now? Logan looked at his daughter, who was watching them with intense interest, then at Aria, who looked amused and terrified and hopeful all at once. Fine, let's discuss it. Logan turned off the stove, sat down at the table. Marriage. Thoughts? Aria laughed. Very romantic. I'm working with what I've got here. Okay, honest answer, I want to marry you. I want Lily to be my stepdaughter officially. I want to build a life together that's permanent and real, and documented by the state. Aria's smile faded into something more serious. But I don't want you to feel pressured. I don't want you to do it because you think you should, or because Lily asked, or because I want to marry you too, Logan interrupted. Aria stopped mid-sentence. You do? Yeah, I've wanted to for a while. I just didn't know if you were ready. If we were ready. Are we? Logan looked at Lily, who was practically vibrating with excitement. He looked at Aria, this woman who'd fought her way into his life and refused to leave even when he'd given her every reason to run. He thought about the past year, the fights, the reconciliations, the slow building of trust. Yeah, he said. I think we are. Lily squealed and launched herself at both of them, nearly knocking over the table. Aria was laughing and crying at the same time. Logan just held them both, feeling something settle in his chest that had been restless for years. So, we're getting married? Aria asked when Lily finally let go. Apparently. Should we do this properly? Should you propose? I don't have a ring. I don't care about a ring. Yes, you do. Okay, I care a little, but not enough to wait. Logan got down on one knee right there in the kitchen, wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt, with burnt pancakes on the stove, and his daughter watching like it was the greatest show on earth. Aria Vaughn, will you marry me? Yes, absolutely yes. They kissed while Lily made exaggerated gagging sounds, then demanded to know if she could be in the wedding. Obviously, Aria said, you're the most important person here. Can I wear a fancy dress? The fanciest. Can we get a dog? Logan laughed. Don't push your luck, kiddo. But 3 months later, when they got married in a small ceremony at the courthouse with just Lily and a few close friends, Aria surprised them both. After the judge pronounced them married, after they'd signed the papers and taken the official photos, Aria led them outside to where a friend from the animal shelter was waiting, with a puppy. You didn't, Logan said. I did. Lily, meet your new family member. Lily shrieked and dropped to her knees, immediately covered in puppy kisses. The dog, a mutt of indeterminate breed, brown and floppy-eared and impossibly sweet, wiggled with pure joy. What's its name? Lily asked. That's up to you, Aria said. Lily looked at the puppy seriously, considering. Rex. Like a T-Rex, but friendlier. Perfect, Logan said, even though he had no idea how they were going to manage a puppy on top of everything else. But they did manage. They figured it out the way they figured everything else out, together, imperfectly, with plenty of mistakes along the way. Aria's mother didn't attend the wedding, didn't send a card, didn't acknowledge it at all. And while that hurt, Aria was learning to be okay with it. Her therapist reminded her that she couldn't control her mother's reactions, only her own choices. And she'd chosen this life, this family. The animal shelter nonprofit opened 6 months after the wedding. It was smaller than Aria had initially envisioned, but it was real. They served 20 families in the first month, providing free vet care and temporary fostering for people who couldn't afford to keep their pets otherwise. Aria worked there 3 days a week. Logan handled maintenance and repairs, and Lily volunteered on weekends, playing with the animals and helping socialize the scared ones. It wasn't the life Aria had been raised for. It wasn't the life anyone had expected her to live. But it was hers. One evening, almost 2 years after they'd first met, Logan came home from a particularly brutal job to find Aria and Lily in the backyard with Rex, teaching him to fetch. Or trying to. Rex was more interested in running in circles than actually retrieving anything. Logan stood in the doorway, watching them. Aria in jeans and an old sweater, hair pulled back, laughing at the dog's antics. Lily in her dinosaur shirt, still her favorite despite having grown out of it twice, and Aria having to buy bigger sizes, shrieking with joy. Rex barking and running, and just happy to be included. This was it. This was the life he'd convinced himself he'd never have. Not perfect. Rex had just dug up half the garden. Lily's homework was late again. The truck needed new brakes. Logan couldn't quite afford yet. Aria's mother had sent another passive-aggressive email that would need to be dealt with. But it was real. It was theirs. Aria looked up, saw him watching, smiled. You going to stand there all night, or come help us? Logan walked into the yard, into the chaos, into the life he'd built despite every fear telling him it was impossible. Lily ran over, grabbed his hand. Dad, watch this. Aria taught Rex to sit. Did she now? Well, he sits for like 2 seconds before he runs away. But it's progress. Definitely progress. They spent the next hour in the yard as the sun set, teaching a stubborn dog basic commands he'd forget by morning, laughing at nothing and everything, being a family. Later, after Lily and Rex were both exhausted and asleep, Lily in her room, Rex on his bed in the corner, Logan and Aria sat on the back porch again. It had become their ritual this quiet time after the chaos ended. I got offered a board position today, Aria said, at a major animal welfare organization. They want me to help expand their programs nationally. That's incredible. Are you going to take it? I don't know. It would mean travel, time away from the shelter, time away from you and Lily. It would also mean you're making a real impact, bigger than just our local shelter. But I like our local shelter. I like being hands-on. You can do both. You're allowed to grow, Aria. You're allowed to want more than what you already have. Aria looked at him. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You just didn't notice because you were too busy being a mess. She shoved his shoulder, laughing. I was a mess, wasn't I? We both were. Are we still? Logan thought about it. Probably, but we're a mess together, so it works. That's very romantic. I try. Aria leaned her head on his shoulder. I'm going to take the position. I'm scared, but I'm going to do it. Good. You should be scared. Means it matters. You're not worried I'll get too busy? That I'll start neglecting you and Lily? Nope. Because I know you won't. You've proven that over and over. You show up, Aria, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. So do you. They sat in comfortable silence, the kind built over years of learning each other's rhythms. Can I tell you something? Logan said eventually. Anything. I used to think happiness was something that just happened to other people. That my job was to survive, make sure Lily was okay, keep our heads above water. I didn't believe I deserved more than that. And now? Now I know that happiness isn't something you wait for. It's something you fight for. It's getting up every day and choosing to build a life instead of just enduring one. It's terrifying and messy and nothing like I imagined, but it's real. Aria lifted her head to look at him. When did you figure that out? The day you showed up at my apartment with that puppy. I realized you weren't just choosing me in the moment. You were choosing our future. And if you could be that brave, I could be too. We've been pretty brave together. Yeah, we have. Aria kissed him, soft and sure. I love you, Logan Reed. I love you too. Inside, Rex started barking at something, probably his own reflection. Lily called out from her room, asking for water. The refrigerator made that weird sound it had been making for weeks that Logan kept meaning to fix. Normal life interrupting their moment. But that was okay, because normal life was the point. They went inside together, handled the barking dog, and the thirsty kid, and all the small chaos that made up their days. And later, lying in bed with Aria asleep beside him, Logan thought about the man he'd been 2 years ago. Alone. Scared. Convinced that keeping his head down and surviving was the best he could hope for. He'd been wrong. Not because life had suddenly become easy. It hadn't. Money was still tight some months. Lily still had hard days. Aria's relationship with her family was still complicated. Rex was still a terrible listener. But none of that mattered as much as it used to. Because somewhere along the way, Logan had learned something crucial. You don't wait for life to get easier before you start living. You build the life you want with whatever materials you have. You fight for it. You show up for it. You choose it every single day. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, someone chooses it with you. Logan looked at Aria sleeping beside him, at the life they'd built together in this house that was neither too big nor too small, but just right. He thought about Lily in the next room, safe and loved. He thought about Rex probably chewing something he shouldn't in the living room. He thought about the shelter, the work, the community they were building. This was it. This was what he'd been fighting for without even knowing it. Not perfection, not some fairy tale ending where everything worked out exactly right. Just real life. Messy, complicated, beautiful real life. And it was more than enough. It was everything. 5 years later, Logan stood in the backyard of their new house, bigger than the last, bought with a combination of his savings and Aria's trust fund, their first real compromise about money that didn't end in an argument. Lily was 11 now, all elbows and attitude, currently trying to teach Rex tricks he'd never learn because he was too old and stubborn. Aria was on a conference call inside, pacing while she talked about expansion plans for the shelter network she'd built across 3 states. And Logan was grilling burgers, watching his family, thinking about how far they'd come. A car pulled up. Logan's brother, who he'd reconciled with after years of barely speaking, got out with his wife and kids. Then the neighbors they'd become friends with. Then some people from the shelter. Then more people, until the backyard was full of noise and life. Lily ran over, Rex on her heels. "Dad, can we get another dog?" "Absolutely not." "But Rex needs a friend. Rex has plenty of friends." "Please?" Logan looked at his daughter, not so little anymore, growing up too fast, already becoming her own person with her own ideas and demands. "We'll talk to Aria," he said, which they both knew meant yes. Lily grinned and ran off, already planning her campaign. Aria came outside, call finished, and slid her arm around Logan's waist. "Did she ask about another dog?" "Yep." "What did you say?" "That we'd talk about it." "We're getting another dog, aren't it?" "Probably." Aria laughed, kissed his cheek. "I love our life." "Me too. Even when it's chaotic?" "Especially when it's chaotic." They stood together, watching their family and friends fill their backyard, fill their life. Not perfect. Never perfect. But real and chosen and fought for. And that made all the difference. Because happiness, Logan had learned, wasn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It was about learning to dance in the rain. It was about building something strong enough to weather whatever came next. It was about choosing every single day to show up for the life you wanted instead of settling for the one you thought you deserved. And sometimes, if you were brave enough to fight for it, if you were willing to do the work, if you found someone equally willing to build alongside you, you got to keep it. Not forever. Nothing was forever. But for right now, in this moment, with these people, in this life they'd created together, that was enough. That was everything. 3 months later, Aria moved out of the penthouse. She didn't tell her mother until the day the movers showed up. The phone call that followed was exactly as ugly as expected, but Aria stayed calm, held her ground, and when Victoria demanded she reconsider, Aria said something she'd never said before. No. Just that. No explanation. No apology. Just no. The apartment she chose was smaller, practical, in a neighborhood where people actually talked to their neighbors. 2 bedrooms so Lily could have her own space when she stayed over. A kitchen big enough to cook in. Windows that let in real light. It wasn't fancy, but it was hers. Chosen by her, paid for by her, without a single string attached. Logan helped her move, along with Lily, who treated the whole thing like an adventure. They unpacked boxes, assembled furniture with instructions that made no sense, argued about where the couch should go, normal things, real things. "You're really doing this," Logan said that night after Lily had fallen asleep on the new couch, exhausted from all the excitement. "I really am." Aria looked around at the half-unpacked boxes, the mismatched furniture, the life she was building from scratch. "I'm terrified." "Good. Means it matters." She kissed him then, grateful for his understanding, for not trying to talk her out of her fear or pretend it didn't exist. Over the next few months, they figured out what their life looked like. Lily split time between both places, adapting faster than either adult expected. Aria started volunteering at an animal shelter 3 days a week, coming home with stories about dogs who'd learned to trust again and cats who'd finally stopped hiding. She was building something real, something that had nothing to do with her family's money or expectations. Logan watched her transform, not into someone different, but into who she'd always been underneath the fear and isolation. She laughed more. Slept better, stopped checking her phone every 5 minutes like she was waiting for disaster. One Saturday morning, Lily came into the kitchen where Logan was making pancakes and announced, "I think you should marry Aria." Logan nearly dropped the spatula. "What? You love her, right?" "Yeah, but..." "And she loves you?" "Yes. And she's not going anywhere." "No, she's not." "Then why aren't you married?" Logan looked at his daughter, wondering when she'd gotten so observant. "It's complicated, kiddo. Adults always say that when they're scared." She wasn't wrong. That night, after Lily was asleep, Logan called Aria. "Would you marry me?" he asked without preamble. Silence on the other end. Then, Are you serious? Yeah, I don't have a ring or a plan or any of the things I'm supposed to have, but I love you, and I want to build a life with you, a real one. So, would you marry me? Yes. Her voice was thick with tears. Yes, absolutely, yes. They got married 3 months later at the courthouse with Lily as their only witness. No big ceremony, no guest list, no drama. Just them, making a choice to build something together. Aria's mother didn't speak to her for 6 months after that. And while it hurt, Aria was learning that some relationships weren't worth the cost of maintaining them. Her therapist helped her see that choosing herself wasn't selfish, it was necessary. The first year of marriage was harder than either of them expected. They fought about money, about how much of Aria's trust fund was okay to use, about whether accepting help was the same as being dependent. They fought about Lily's schedule, about boundaries with Aria's family, about whose turn it was to do the dishes. But they also learned how to fight, how to say the hard things without making them weapons, how to apologize when they were wrong, how to forgive when they were hurt. And slowly, they built something neither of them had ever had before. A partnership. Not perfect, never perfect, but real. 2 years after they got married, Aria used part of her trust fund to open a small nonprofit animal shelter focused on helping low-income families keep their pets. Logan helped with the construction and repairs, refusing payment until Aria insisted, and they compromised on a fair rate. The shelter wasn't big or fancy, but it mattered. They helped families who couldn't afford vet care, who faced eviction because of pet deposits, who were one emergency away from losing the animals they loved. Aria worked there 4 days a week, coming home exhausted but fulfilled in a way her old life had never allowed. Lily volunteered on weekends, walking dogs and socializing scared cats. She was 8 now, confident and funny, and so much like both of them, it was startling. She had Logan's stubbornness and Aria's heart, and watching the two of them together made Logan's chest ache with gratitude. One evening, 5 years after that first service call, Logan came home to find Aria and Lily in the backyard with a dog they'd brought home from the shelter, just for the night, Aria claimed, though Logan knew better. The dog was old and scarred and had been at the shelter for months with no adopters. "We're not keeping him," Logan said. "Of course not," Aria agreed, while Lily scratched the dog's ears and whispered promises that they'd never let him go. They kept the dog, named him Buddy. He slept at the foot of Lily's bed and followed Aria around the house and barked at nothing in particular. He was a terrible guard dog and had accidents on the carpet and chewed through 2 pairs of Logan's work boots. And Logan loved him anyway, because that was the thing Logan had finally learned. Love wasn't about perfection. It was about showing up. It was about choosing, every single day, to build something together, even when it was hard. He'd spent so long just surviving, convinced that was all he deserved, that asking for more was selfish or foolish or both. But Aria had shown him something different. She'd shown him that happiness wasn't something that just happened to other people. It was something you fought for, something you built with your own hands, even when you didn't know what you were doing. One night, after Lily and Buddy were both asleep, Logan and Aria sat on their small back porch, really just a concrete slab with 2 chairs, but it was theirs, and looked at the stars barely visible through the city lights. "Do you ever regret it?" Logan asked. "Regret what?" "All of this. Walking away from your old life. The money, the comfort, the safety net." Aria was quiet for a moment. "Sometimes I miss parts of it. The security. Not having to worry about bills or repairs or whether the car will start in the morning. But regret? No, never. Even when things are hard. Especially when things are hard. Because hard means real. Hard means we're actually living instead of just existing." She reached over, took his hand. "I spent my whole life in a beautiful cage, safe and comfortable and completely empty. This life, with you and Lily and Buddy and the shelter, this is what I was missing. This is what matters." Logan squeezed her hand, understanding exactly what she meant. They sat in comfortable silence, the kind that only came from years of learning each other's rhythms. Inside, Buddy barked at something, probably his own reflection, and Lily called out from her room, still half asleep, asking for water. "I'll go," Aria said, standing. Logan watched her walk inside, this woman who'd somehow become his whole world, and he thought about the man he'd been 5 years ago, alone and scared and convinced he had to carry everything by himself. He'd been so wrong. The truth was, you couldn't control who stayed and who left. You couldn't protect yourself from pain by refusing to let people in. All you could do was choose. Choose to be brave. Choose to trust. Choose to build something worth fighting for. And if you were lucky, really, truly lucky, someone chose you back. Logan stood, went inside to help with the water and the dog, and all the small chaos that made up their life. And later, lying in bed with Aria asleep beside him, he thought about everything they'd built together. It wasn't the life he'd imagined. It was better. Because it was real. Because it was theirs. Because they'd fought for it together. And in the end, that was what mattered most. Not the fairy tale. Not the perfect ending. Just two imperfect people choosing each other every single day and building something beautiful from the broken pieces they'd both been carrying. That was love. That was family. That was home. And it was more than enough.